Member for Roe.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. My grievance is directed to the Minister representing the Minister for Education on behalf of our regional students and our smaller regional schools, both in my electorate and around the state. As we're about to leave behind the tumultuous year that is WA under a Labor-led government, the future of the regional camp schools must come under some scrutiny from those who have valued this service for the decades before Labor came into office and decided to decimate them. The camp schools have traditionally been seen as a complementary entity to the Department of Education. They were an additional education experience offered to provide balance within the existing curriculum. By fobbing them off to the private sector, Minister, your government is saying they were never part of the education system in this state. It is the same as deciding to sell off schools in this state to the private sector. There are countless students, parents and schools who would heartily condemn your notion that this outdoor experience is no longer part of the public school system. The tender has been awarded and Fairbridge is now responsible for the management and future of the 6 regional camp schools. From a regional point of view, I am concerned that our smaller schools may now miss out on the opportunity to attend one of the camp schools. Feedback suggests there may be a minimum camp size before a booking will be accepted. This would be a severe disadvantage for those small regional schools with small numbers in the upper primary groups. I also understand that next year's bookings are substantially down on numbers to previous years. This is as a result of a lack of surety around student fees and charges, as well as the services being offered. Schools are reporting that they have not received any information regarding next year's service and therefore cannot plan this year in advance, which is traditionally what all schools will do. A concern to those stakeholders who have an interest in this transition is that Fairbridge do not seem to be engaging in any discussions, which raises questions as to the service being on offer next year. I understand at this stage there are no site managers appointed from Fairbridge who are on site managing the transition. As with any transition, existing staff would be useful to keep on board, as a flood of knowledge leaving such a well-established entity can put pressure on those who are recruited with lesser experience. My understanding is that those existing staff who would like to remain after the transition have not been spoken to yet. It is leaving this task of recruitment to a very late stage of the transition, and those who have not been spoken to or contacted may be forced to seek employment elsewhere, losing a golden opportunity for Fairbridge to take on experience they will not find in the future. Local communities have historically provided support services for the camp schools, and it is my understanding that Fairbridge intends to bus staff into campsites from Pinjarra. This will not be welcomed by local communities, as the support they provide is a significant part of their business. Communication with WA government schools has been minimal. They need to feel confident the camps will go ahead at a reasonable cost to parents before they can book for next year. I also note that the tender document said the government would give consideration to proposals that do not accord with the reserve purpose, but if the proponents offered ancillary activities to the reserve purpose, it would mean more than likely be supported. On from this, the wording becomes a little more concerning, saying that if the proponent were to deliver a service that was outside the reserve purpose, it may be necessary to seek a change to the total reserve purpose. Considering the reserve purpose on the government-owned sites is for the purpose of the School Education Act, what might these services outside the reserve purpose be, and to what impact would they have on the educational services the school camps exist for? Could we assume that the school camps will now be used for corporate retreats, orienteering groups, mountain bike groups or such like? These groups would more than likely pay more ultimately, and they would be far more attractive to Fairbridge from a financial point of view under the resourced public schools. Minister, it's a simple business equation. The Department of Education previously had to subsidise the camp schools in the past to provide the service. If the new provider cannot charge more for each student, there is no way they will survive with this current model without fee-for-service from other sources. Fairbridge, as an independent school, would have a valued approach to the educational outcomes of the camp schools. But this would assume the need to recruit more teachers and support staff. Even if this is done on a casual basis, this would mean a substantial increase in staffing costs. And if the staff are to be brought in under a casual arrangement, sourcing people with suitable qualifications would be an added challenge in some of the areas where the camp schools are situated. What reporting criteria do you have in place to hold Fairbridge accountable for these services they offer at the camp schools? Do they, as an entity, need to provide statistics on student numbers and outcomes to enable their funding to remain in place? This grievance seeks assurances from the Minister that the access to the camp schools, especially for the smaller regional schools, will remain unchanged. We also seek assurances that the camp schools will provide the same level or higher of outcomes students in the past have enjoyed. The government seems happy to have washed their hands of the responsibility of the camp schools. This is not what government is about. As this government has discovered, reducing services in the regions will always be met with anger and discontent. The camp schools have been an educational highlight for so many students over decades. This complete disregard for the significance of yet another service in the regions reflects on this government. And Minister, I look forward to your response on those items.
Thank you, Member. Minister representing the Minister for Education and Training.
As you say, I'm representing the Minister for Education. And in responding, Member, I've got to say, I respect your right to raise grievances, but repetitive raising of the same grievance, receiving
Member for Dawesville.
Acting Speaker, this is a grievance. It is not an opportunity for a moron to interject from the other side of the House.
Thank you, Member. I've heard your point of order.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. I'll continue.
Minister, can you please withdraw that?
I beg your pardon? I didn't say. I said it was not an opportunity for a moron to interject. If he wants to claim the status of being a moron, I'll give it to him.
Minister.
Okay, I withdraw the
Thank
member for
Carry on. Member for Dawesville. No more thanks.
Member, you have raised this same grievance numerous times without any additional information and increasingly in an escalated, ridiculous manner, suggesting somehow there's some conspiracy because I don't know what it is that you have against Fairbridge. I do not know what the National Party has against Fairbridge. A respected institution in Western Australia. Most people in Western Australia respect Fairbridge.
Point of order. Yes, Member for Armidale.
In a response. Some members may not like the response, but can he be given the due respect that he afforded the member for Roe?
Yes. Members to my left, as the member for Armidale just stated, the grievance was given in silence and the response will also be given without interjection.
So, Acting Speaker, I'm willing. However, I'm willing.
Member for North West Central. Member for North West Central. I call you to order for the first time. This is going to be a long day if you keep doing that.
I'm willing to again repeat. I'm willing to again repeat the facts.
I'm not going to send you home.
Getting the state's finances back in order after the disgraceful mismanagement by the Liberal National Government is a tough job. Part of the tough job is making tough decisions, and one of those decisions that was made was that we could no longer run campsites. They are not schools. The program offered at campsites has been well received and appreciated over a number of years. They offer activities that help develop important social and life skills. The role of the sites is to supplement the education programs delivered by schools. Each camp offers its own individual activities. While they are much loved and valued, they're not solely used by schools. One of the savings measures being implemented was to seek alternative camp school operators to continue the services at 6 facilities, all except Broome, ensuring students continue to have priority access for an affordable price. I'll repeat that again. The government sought an alternative operator to continue the services. The change is that it won't be operated by the Department of Education. That was the decision. Camp schools will remain operational with their management handed over to those in the best position to provide these services. The Minister has announced the new operator in September. She was pleased to announce that Fairbridge WA was selected to operate the 6 school sites in Bridgetown, Dampier, Geraldton, Kalgoorlie, Pemberton, Point Perrin. Broome Camp School will remain with the Department of Education. Public school students will continue to receive priority access to the sites. A requirement of the process was that public school students will have priority access at an affordable cost. The conditions of use also stipulated that the operators are required to retain an educational focus and use. The expected length of the lease is for 5 years, with 2 options of further extensions of 5 years each. Under the agreement, students will continue to have access at an affordable price. The Department of Education conducted a robust tender and evaluation process to select the most suitable proponent to manage the sites. The 6 sites. Fairbridge WA is a fantastic fit to take on the provision of the 6 sites. Fairbridge WA is committed to providing students and other members of the community access to school camps and outdoor activities that are high quality, affordable and available to all schools. The organisation specialises in camp accommodation and outdoor education and has an emphasis on helping disadvantaged young people. And in my role in the shadow ministerial portfolio, I had experience of Fairbridge's activities. They are a good organisation, and it's disgraceful that you are talking them down in the manner that you have. Fairbridge WA operates over 3 areas: heritage and general accommodation, education through the curriculum and re-engagement in education schools, and an accredited registered training organisation. This is a great result for the camp sites and for the community. The sites will remain accessible and affordable for school students, sporting groups, the general community, and they'll be operated by a reputable not-for-profit provider. What's obvious, and has become increasingly clear, is that the National Party do not like Fairbridge. I don't know why. I have not seen any evidence to support their attitude or their disgruntlement or their anger with Fairbridge. I do not know why they don't like Fairbridge. I do not know why they don't like Fairbridge. No one does in WA understand why the National Party are so vehemently opposed to Fairbridge. For some reason, the member seems to has a particular grudge against Fairbridge because he continues to raise grievances in this place. The Nationals can try and... Acting Speaker, I'm not seeking interjections.
Point of order. Member for North West Central. Member for North West Central, sit down, please. There is no point of order, and if you continue to abuse that process, then it will be recorded as well. Minister.
The Nationals seem determined to run down Fairbridge as an organisation, but it's an organisation which is a great fit for these sites and means students will continue to have access at an affordable price to those facilities that they know and love. Public school students will continue to enjoy priority access at an affordable price. It was the condition of the new agreement to maintain priority access to students at an affordable price.
Member for South Perth.
Did you just hear what I said?
Members.
To continue... OK. I'm running out of time because of the interjections, Acting Speaker, but I will skip ahead to a little bit of history for the members opposite. On the matter of costs, the member may be interested in the history of price increases since 2008. In every single year, the prices of camp schools went up. In 2010, the price for a child went up by 5.6%. But over the period that the previous government was in power, the prices went up by 27%. It is a ridiculous accusation that somehow things are going to get worse because a reputable organisation like Fairbridge has been brought in to enable the government to save a bit of money and help fix the mess that we inherited from the disgraceful mismanagement by the Liberal National Government that resulted in a $40 billion debt being imposed on the people of Western Australia. Future generations will be paying your debt, and you should be helping, instead of accusing Fairbridge of being a bad organisation, you should be assisting in the effort to fix the mess that you created.
Thank you.